Hi guys, Gail Sylvester here. So now that we've determined what the property value is, now what's the next step? So let's say one of the parties decides to stay. So we're not selling the property. So we're going to do the spousal buyout, as we call it. So what we're going to determine is what is going to be paid out. So we know we talked about a property value of say 900,000 with a mortgage amount of 300. So we know there's $600,000 worth of equity that we're going to be sharing. But let's say you've got a joint car loan, or you've got joint credit card debt, or you have joint line of credit debt. There's any sort of joint debt that needs to get paid as well, because we have to release both parties from that debt because it is joint debt that's being acquired, right? So what we would do, so let's say there's 100,000 in debt. So we know based on a $900,000 value, we've got 300 for the mortgage, and now we've got 100,000 in joint debt at 400. So now we've got about $500,000 worth of debt. So now what we're going to do is the other party is entitled to $250,000 worth of equity, just like you're worth 250. Like you still get $250,000 worth of equity. But for the party that's staying in the property, your equity is not going to be in cash in pocket. Your portion is actually going to be in the equity of the home. So what we're going to do is we're going to refinance that mortgage up to 650,000, and what that's going to do is it's going to pay out all the debts. It's going to give us that 250,000 that is entitled to the other party, and we're keeping the 250,000 for you in that mortgage. So you've now got this new mortgage that you're responsible for, but you've got no debt. So which is kind of nice. So it's like fresh start, one payment, and you're still in the house and you don't have to move. Whereas the other party, now when we set up the time for that to take place through the lawyer, what's going to happen is on the day of, let's say we've picked a closing date, let's use an easy date of June 30th, because that's the busiest closing day anyway, right? So let's say June 30th is the day this is going to take place. On that day, you're going to have signed with the lawyer saying that there's a title transfer from two parties down to one. And based on that is that's what you're going to sign, and you're going to sign for the new mortgage amount. Now, the party that's being bought out, who's actually leaving the home and getting the equity, they're going to see their own lawyer for what we call as independent legal advice or representation, because they need to be aware of, by signing off of the house, that future value or anything that changes in regards to this property, they're now not entitled to any of that equity because they're being bought out as of today's rate. And today's value. So that's why we actually have two lawyers involved. It protects all parties, and it gives the other party a chance to fully understand exactly what's happening with the buyout. And then it's also, as they go to purchase a property with their now down payment, and then that lawyer can help them when they secure a property as well. So there's a few things to take into account and what that's going to look like and how that's going to be. Now that is for a person that has 20% equity in the property. Let's kind of reverse that a little bit and now all of a sudden say, you know what, based on joint debt, based on mortgage amount, and based on property value, I don't have 20% equity in the property. And we know to refinance a mortgage today, you do need a minimum of 20% down. So here's where the exception comes in. It's for spousal buyouts. When you're buying out that other party and you're paying out joint debts and paying out the mortgage and giving their share of the equity, you can actually take that mortgage back up to 95% of today's value. But the only way we can do that is going to be based on the separation agreement. And based on the separation agreement, it's going to actually outline all the debts that we're paying out that are joint. So for talking sake, we're paying out a $300,000 mortgage. We're paying out $100,000 worth of debt kind of thing. So now we're up to like 400,000. Equity buyout, let's say it's another, say 100,000. So now we're at 500,000, but let's say the property's only worth 600,000. So we don't have the 20% down kind of thing, because now we're actually going up into the insured bucket because we've got the less than 20% down. We can actually do that. So we can go to the maximum of 95. Now we can't get there if we're not paying out joint matrimonial debt. The only way we can go to the max of what that looks like. And in this case, it would be a maximum of 500,000 based on a $600,000 value. So there is ways around everything. So sometimes we don't know what we don't know. So by all means, any questions in terms of, if I want to stay, how does this look and how much is it going to cost me? Let's reach out. Let's have that conversation. Let's see if one of the parties can stay in the home if you choose to. And if you don't, then we're going to sell that property and we're going to work on mortgages for both of you, but it's going to be all based on that separation agreement, which we're going to talk about next week. Okay. Enjoy your day. Any questions, please reach out. I'm happy to help and answer any of the questions that you do have. Talk to you soon.